Welcome to Can TV 21 Hotline. Let's talk etiquette. Yes. On a Thanksgiving Eve, as most people are out doing their shopping now and having a great time getting prepared for tomorrow. But before I go any further, I'd like to introduce my very special co-host, Madam Georgia Selmon, etiquette maven extraordinary.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to another Can TV Let's Talk Etiquette.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. It is indeed a pleasure to be here once again, and especially on the eve of Thanksgiving.
Yes. And we could devote the entire show to that one subject. That's the etiquette of Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
You know, the traditions, all of the rituals that go into that wonderful celebration. But we're going to devote it to another subject for today. But first, give us a call at 312-738-1060. Love to hear from you, so don't hesitate. If you're working in the kitchen, just kind of put that aside for a minute and give us a call, okay? So to start the show, I want to put up our overhead so you'll know what we're going to discuss today. Teach American manners and morals in public school. Teach American manners and morals in public school. Change behavior, change America. Wow, now that's a tall order, but you know, really, we are a country based on values, right?
Absolutely.
Social values, moral values, and it's such an important subject that every child in this country should be given an education in etiquette.
Yes.
Tell me some of your experiences, madam, in teaching this grand subject.
Well, it's so important that we promote this subject in schools as well as at home. And when we make it a part of our lifestyle and make it a part of what we're supposed to do,
Yes.
then I think it will help alleviate some of the problems that we see in our communities, in our homes, and just throughout the nation.
Yes.
So when we are practicing teaching the manners and morals in America,
Yes.
that's a large spectrum. Then and of course, in the public schools.
Absolutely. Yes. Perfect
And
place
in
for
our
it.
homes.
Yes.
Then I think we can make a huge difference, a
Yes.
tremendous difference in society.
Yes.
It's so
absolutely.
important.
It is.
You're changing behavior.
That's the key. Change behavior.
Yes,
Yes.
we're changing behavior.
Yes.
And it starts in every facet and every entity of our existence.
Well said.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well
Yes.
said. Well stated. And hopefully the school principals and superintendents and teachers and parents will see this message, will hear this message and will understand its importance. In fact, we are a little prejudiced here at the Etiquette Foundation. Fortunately, we are a little prejudiced because we feel this is the most important subject a child could learn
Yes.
in their primary education.
Yes.
Because what does it do? It sets values.
Yes.
Yes, and it sets morals. Yes. And so you've had the opportunity to teach from elementary all the way up to college.
Yes.
And so give us some of your experiences with this discipline in the classroom. How does your older students, your high school, say as an example, students react to the subject?
They react very, very positively. They're very. They get engaged in the conversation. They want to know more, and they recall that, this is what we learn at home, And my one of the things that I say, bring what you learned from home into public, into the schools, into
Yes.
wherever you
Yes.
are, because it's that important. It's not emphasized enough.
It's not.
So you'll see youngsters, they know the concept, they know the subject, but they will kind of lean towards the
Whatever is being done in the school at that
the
time, among their
common,
friends,
yeah, and
among
that
their friends, they adapt to their friends' behavior,
yes,
and more than what they have learned at home.
the common behavior.
The common
I'll
behavior,
just use that.
which really doesn't have quite the structure that
Not at all.
that etiquette teaches.
Right.
So
It's somewhat of a common. I think we have all been there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember very clearly when I was a teenager, I used common. I was like the common.
whatever
yes.
that environment dictated.
Absolutely.
Yes.
If
yes,
the
yes.
environment dictated slang, hey, we would go there. That's
Right.
what and it's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, it's just another culture that's acceptable in your circle of friends.
Yes. Yes.
But knowing where to cut that off.
Of course, or
Transition
into another form of behavior dependent.
is what's key.
That's what's key. Right,
It's what's
right.
important, and that's what we kind of discuss and talk about at the higher upper level with the high school students.
Yes, yes.
We talk about the different transitioning.
Right.
It's
based
okay.
on your environment and
Based on-
circumstances.
Yes. Then you
Yes.
can have that kind of laxed behavior, but when you go into a more formal environment,
Yes,
and not
yes.
always formal,
Yes.
but an environment where you have to be on your P's and Q's.
Right. Form is a good word.
Yeah,
It's one we use in the classroom.
exactly.
Yes.
know.
Like formal meaning you have to be a little at a higher standard
Absolutely.
of behavior.
Yes.
One of the things that we've discovered from teaching to etiquette to our older students in the high school level is that many of them, not all, but many of them say, why aren't we teaching this to all of the students? And you've heard that comment before.
Often.
Why aren't this being offered to all of the students in the school? And it somewhat puts a burden on us to a degree to try to explain to them why. So what do you think when you get that kind of a response from students?
I'm very, very transparent, and I tell them, the school system has a standard curriculum that they're mandated to teach. And unfortunately, this is not part of that. Unfortunately, this is not right. Exactly.
Right.
When it has to do with every subject matter.
Yes. It's all social
Every subject matter.
It's got a foundation of social relations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
If you practice the manners and morals, it's a great benefit in math.
It is.
If manners and morals was taught in your social studies class, if you had used manners and morals in your social studies or your literature or your math or your physics, whatever subject matter,
Yes.
you are bound to passing grades because it's a behavior
Right.
that's very important.
Extremely important. In fact, even in your classroom, etiquette, understanding of etiquette relates directly to how that classroom performs. How it interacts with each
Absolutely.
other, how the students interact with the teacher. There's a relationship between the teacher and the student, and a relationship between student to student. And there are a set of rules of behavior that governs that classroom. Sit in your seat, be quiet, do not distract. All of those are basic etiquette rules, so that each person can learn or focus on the teacher's lesson as opposed to you distracting me
Just
by
being
talking
respectful.
to me.
Just being respectful.
Right.
Being honorable,
Yes.
being
Yes.
considerate
Yes. Of your fellow student. They there to learn.
of your teacher, the leader, of your counterparts, your fellow students, whatever they are calling each other, your peers.
Your peers.
You know, having those basic skills and
Behavior
that
skills,
basic
yes.
information can contribute a huge amount of success in the education of teaching and learning.
Absolutely.
Huge.
And the grade level, I mean, when you have a student body in a classroom that's adhering to those basic values, those basic etiquette norms of classroom behavior, they learn more because they're least distracted by what may be going on in that classroom.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest problems in the classroom is that students are acting out and distracting the teacher, and teachers complain all the time about sit down, be quiet, stop doing, and all of that is a huge distraction from you focusing on that lesson.
And it can affect the entire classroom.
Yes.
If one student or two students are not practicing the importance of good social behavior.
Yes.
And that's basically what it is.
Yes.
Having good social behavior. Social behavior in the classroom. Social
Yes.
behavior outside for recess. Social behavior wherever
A set of
your-
rules apply.
Yes, and they're not stringent rules.
No, but a
that's
set of
not-
rules apply.
You know, it's not, sit with your hands full, don't say a word.
No,
It's not that. It's
No.
just having respect for one another,
Right.
respect for the teacher, for the
Right.
subject,
Right.
for
And
your peers.
Your fellow students. Absolutely.
And that's basically with
And that's-
manners and morals,
Yeah.
the etiquette of
Yes.
manners
Yes.
and morals.
And what we do here at the Etiquette Foundation in our classes, we teach classroom behavior. Because if the child doesn't intellectualize how to behave in a classroom, then they're more subject to act on impulse. And when they're in that state of mind, it's more likely to have some disruption or distraction in the classroom as a consequence of something some one or two students may do. And there you are, you got a distraction, and I'm lost my train of thought or my focus on what I was reading or trying to incorporate into my thinking because something happened in the back of the classroom, be it noisy making, whatever is going on. So we do teach them to intellectualize their behavior based on the condition or the circumstances that they find themselves in, because when you think at that level as an intellectual process, then you're more apt to adhere to it. At least that's some of the experiences I've had with our students. But we got some subjects we're going to cover, some of our curriculum for you, so you will have some sense of what we teach. And I'm going to start with this one here. We're just going to briefly go over this lesson. These lessons are very, very comprehensive, but we're just going to touch on a few things here so that you'll get some sense of what a class subject is all about. This is Etiquette Education, and the title of this show, this classroom curriculum is Etiquette of Respect. The Etiquette of Respect. Okay? So we'll move over to here, and hopefully you can see some of this. What we do, we give definitions. Up here you will see definitions of the word respect. Okay, we give you right out of Webster's dictionary. We don't make up any definitions. We give them directly as it is given to us from the dictionary. The first one, once you read the first one here that we bring up.
Okay, it says respect for one another is the glue that makes our society work. Respect for one another is the glue that makes our society work. If we do not respect one another, the society as we know, it will continue to decline.
So that's an example of how we started this lesson out here, the etiquette of respect. And so that the student will be able to intellectualize why it is so important to adhere to these basic rules.
Yes.
And as you can go, I'll go back here. The subject for this particular curriculum is etiquette of respect. Okay? So this is what we want to do as educators in this particular subject matter so that our students will have a better understanding of why respect is so important and how it relates to everything you do, be it you in a class of math or English. The etiquette of respect, it should be definitely a part of their value system. And this is why we have selected this subject here. But what type of responses have you got from using this curriculum in the
Something
classroom?
very basic and something to definitely take into consideration. A lot of times students say, well, if the teacher doesn't respect me, why should I respect the teacher? If my peer doesn't respect me, why should I respect that person? Mm-hmm. And so we go through all of the whys, why you should, mm-hmm. period. Mm-hmm. It's not even a consideration not to respect someone. And sometimes I have to tell my students that, you don't let someone change you. Right. You have this belief of respect, then you're going to be respectful, and you're going to be respectful regardless to what their behavior dictates.
That's very important.
And that's
for them to
what
hear that.
I emphasize when we're talking and teaching and mm-hmm. getting an understanding of the subject respect. Yes. So you're not always going to be respected. Should that change you from being respectful? No. And that's what, and sometimes that is very difficult for
you're right.
young people to understand.
Rather than react.
And some older people as well.
So
you
true.
have to want to, you have to really believe in that word.
Yes.
You have to believe in that word. And that word has to be a part of your character, a
yes.
part of your belief system.
Yes. And
once when it does become that, or if it already is that, I am a respectful person, and it's easy to convey that subject matter.
Yes, absolutely. So this is why this subject is so critical to the development of a child as they mature into adulthood. And I'm going to go to the next subject. It's number 2. Okay. There's some other parts of this number 1. The police would not respect our rights as citizens. Okay. And of course, this one here is respect for one another makes it possible to walk down the streets without fear of being robbed or assaulted. Now, that's like
that's interesting.
That's like if you live in a society where etiquette is the norm of behavior, then you can walk down the street and not fear someone trying to rob you, because that's not even a thought process for civil society.
Well, let's talk about let's talk about society as it is today.
Now, wow. Okay.
And I hate to sound radical, but right now we're just not living in a sometimes in a safe environment.
That's so true.
In some communities, in most communities.
Yes.
And when you're taught to value the word respect, and you're taught to honor that word and make that word a part of your character, and you live in a society or you live in a community where it's not always everybody's practice and everyone's belief system, can make it quite difficult.
Very difficult. And your concern about how you may be treated or mistreated in public is at a much higher level simply because of that. And where's the best place to educate a society is in our schools. And if it's in the schools taught to every student, then that will reduce the fear of being in public, because now you can be more comfortable.
Well, my belief is it starts at home. You know, I'm
Well,
one that
the parents have
definitely
to teach it.
it
And
starts at home.
so yes,
and
yes,
and if it's part of your home behavior, part of what you have learned from a little child to whatever age, then you'll take that same behavior wherever,
Right.
in the school, in your on the playground, in gym, where sometimes those activities can be somewhat challenging.
yes.
You still have to demonstrate, or if that's part of your behavior, part of what you believe in, your value system, then you're not going to, you know,
Well,
deviate from it.
right. But as you well know, etiquette is not taught in the home like it was when I was growing up or when you were growing up. In fact, it's probably very rarely taught. I think it's more about sit down, shut up, than it is about why you should behave as opposed to being ordered to do a certain thing. It's so regrettable that it's not taught in the home like it should be. Because what happened, even if you teach your child etiquette, they go into an environment where the kids know very little about that discipline. And so they're more apt to mimic the kids in that classroom just to get along, to be able to survive in that environment.
Yes.
And I think with those kids, the fear level is a lot higher because they're afraid they may say something or do something that's not in the norm that will cause them to be an outcast and then get picked on and those kinds of things. Because generally, students or people tend to push back against that they don't understand and see you as something like you think you special or you think you somebody.
Yes.
And then target you to bully. So if it was taught consistently in all of the homes of the students in that classroom, then you're absolutely right. That'll be perfect. Okay? But the school does offer that child or those children an opportunity to learn the entire subject so their behavior will be fairly consistent with the entire classroom, because now they have something that we all can agree on in terms of what's appropriate, what is inappropriate, and so on in their interactions with one another.
There's one of
Yeah.
the subjects that's on this
You
handout.
want me to go to it?
Yeah,
Put it
well,
over here?
yes, you can.
Okay.
The police will not respect our rights as citizens. The police will not respect our rights as citizens. We have that discussion with our students and pretty much with the high school students. That's a concern that they have. Why is it that the police doesn't respect your rights as as a citizen? And unfortunately, that is the case sometimes.
That is. They haven't been taught
But-
etiquette.
Absolutely. But we have to also stress upon our students, because someone else does not know proper behavior, don't let that change your proper behavior.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because someone else does not understand etiquette behavior, good behavior, don't let that affect your good behavior.
Right.
And sometimes, most often we get through to the students.
Yes. Yes.
They
And we-
see the truth in that whole
Yes.
subject.
And we do take the time, and we do have curriculum designed specifically for our male youth on how to react to the police if they're encountered by the police.
Exactly.
Their etiquette skills at that level is very, very, very important. From eye contact, the head motions, what comes out of your mouth. You have to make sure you say the correct things. Yes, sir. No, sir. Is there anything I may be able to do for you, officer? We have a whole list of responses for those students to minimize the escalation in that encounter. Because that encounter, if it escalates, you could get somebody arrested or even beat or killed.
And
it's
we
too often
definitely
that's what goes on with that.
emphasize the importance of having those great manners and morals under those kinds of circumstances, because it can be critical.
Could be.
It can be critical. And it can also be very critical in the classroom. If you're not demonstrating the proper way to carry yourself, could be
Yes, could be.
not so good.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And we see
want-
fights on YouTube all the time where students just go on having a whole blown out riot of, and you can go to YouTube and see this kind of behavior in the classroom and just be shocked at this happening, at this time and date.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I go back to the overhead, and you'd like to take that next one there.
Why is it so important to respect yourself? Oh, that's a good one. Because respecting yourself is the first lesson in living an honorable life. Why is it so important to respect? My mother used to tell us, my mom raised 5 girls and 3 boys, and she made it very, very, very clear. You are a young lady.
Yes.
You will grow up to be a woman. You must respect yourself.
Yes.
It's no questions.
Right.
You must respect yourself. If you respect yourself, other people will respect you.
Yes.
And that's probably one of the best life lessons I've ever learned.
Yes. Well, your mother was an etiquette maven in her own right.
And there wasn't a lesson or curriculum
Right.
to teach
Right.
manners and morals
No, it wasn't
back
a written
in the
lesson.
day. No. No.
This was passed on from generation to generation. She learned it from her mother, more
Yes.
than likely. And her mother learned it from her mother. So these are values that are passed on in the family.
Respecting yourself.
Yes.
And what does that mean?
Right.
Caring about you.
Right.
Caring about your appearance.
Yes.
Caring about how you carry yourself.
Yes. And this is why this subject is so important. And please, principals, teachers, parents, this is the lesson your child is missing. And they are entitled to have this lesson. And so contact us, the Etiquette Foundation of Illinois, and we'll put up that information for you at the end of the show. But understand its value and its importance in this world, especially that is not the world we grew up in, where what is a gun? You know what I mean? That's nothing I've ever seen. But let's get into. So we only got a minute left, so let's try let's hit a couple of these bullets here on this before we go to closing out. Okay, just a few of these.
Respect for yourself is often defined by the way you treat others. If you do not respect yourself, you will not respect others. It's defined by the way you treat other people.
Yes.
That is so key. How you treat other people.
Yes.
And, often, some people say, well, I'm going to treat you the way you treat me.
Of course, that's the norm.
That's the norm, but we cannot accept that philosophy, because people sometimes will mistreat you, and you have a choice to either stay in that situation or remove yourself.
Absolutely.
And removing yourself from a bad situation is showing self-respect.
Yes. And so with that said, let's close it out. You can contact us at 312-473-2942, or you can email us at info@efoi.org. Please, teachers, principals, parents, give us a call or send us an email. Thank you, and we will conclude with that, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Yes.
I'll allow you to give the last
You've
word.
said it all.
Well, you can say
You've
have a
said
great,
it all.
Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving to all. And until next time, have a wonderful, blessed rest of your evening.